Okay, so here's step one of the pajama pants. And remember, you always need to be checking your directions. I know they're confusing, but they do tell you what you need to do. So you need to take a look at them before you come running to Mrs. Caddy or Miss Moser saying you don't know what to do. If you haven't checked your directions, we're going to tell you to check your directions first. So for step one, it says stitch front to back at inner leg seams. The inner leg seam, as you can see in this picture, is the seam that's going to come down the inside of your leg. But we need to stitch the front to the back of the pants. And when we cut them, we have two backs and two fronts. And the reason I can tell that this one is a back is because it's curvier here. And the whole piece in general is a little bit bigger than this piece. This is the back because you have a butt in the back, so this piece needs to be bigger and wider than the front piece. To do step one, you're going to start by opening up the two back pieces like a book, and you should see that they make a little U up here, and you can kind of tell this is the outline of our pants. So here's the inner legs, here's the bottom of the pants, here's the outer legs. Now, step one is just the inner legs. So we're going to take the front piece and line up just the inner legs. It needs to be right sides touching, notches matching. And you can see I'm missing a notch here, but that's fine. I have it marked with chalk. So we want to line up our notches, line up our edges. Okay. Now, nothing else on these pieces are going to match at this point. The only thing we're worried about are these inner leg seams. It's not going to match up here. It's not going to match over here. That's fine, because this is what we're sewing for step one. Once you have it lined up with the right sides together, because we want our seams to end up on the inside of the pants, you can pin it. Pinning this is a little bit different than pinning in your pattern. With your pattern, you want the pins to go parallel to the edge. When you're pinning to sew, you need your pins to go perpendicular to the edge, which means they're going to point to the edge of the fabric. Putting them in this way lets you take the pins out a lot easier when you go to sew these together, which is the second half of step one. Once we have these pinned, we're going to sew. You only need, I don't know, how many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pins or so for the inside of the pants. Sometimes people get crazy and put, 30 pins. That's too much because you need to take the pins out as you sew. The whole point of the pins is just to keep the fabric from moving when you're working. So you don't need too many, just about 8 or every 4 to 6 inches. So here are my other pins pointing to the edge of this leg. Okay. And now we're ready to sew. And I'll show that in the next video. But basically what we're going to do to sew is you're going to sew the inner leg seam, which is from the bottom of the curve, you can see the curve here, to the bottom of the pants. That's your inner leg seam. We're going to sew this at the 5/8 inch on the straight stitch with a back stitch at the beginning and end. Once we have that back stitch and it's nice and straight, we'll trim the edges and we'll go ahead and put a zigzag on to finish the stitching. But I'll go ahead and put that in another video so that you can see clearly.